While thousands of supporters of the deposed Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi remain defiant as they continue their protests in Cairo, the interim government has repeatedly warned that it will clear the sit-ins, but is yet to give a deadline. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says he is deeply concerned about the crisis and has urged all sides to urgently reconsider their actions and language. Rawya, Rageh is live for us in Cairo. Rawya, what is going on? Have all efforts at negotiations stopped now?
Well, what we've been hearing in terms of statements from the leadership of both camps has certainly reflected a rather intransigent stance by both sides. It's indicative on some level that both sides remain entrenched in their positions, Shakun. But what some observers argue is that perhaps what we're seeing are merely harsh statements directed at each side's camp or each side's base, that perhaps this is all for public consumption rather than a genuine negotiating stance, and that these harsh remarks come as a result of what was seen as perhaps a backlash from the international mediation over the past couple of weeks, and concerns by a lot of people in the Egyptian public that perhaps this mediation was more of a foreign intervention rather than an attempt to bring the two sides to the negotiating table. So once again, we're hearing the Secretary General of the United Nations adding his voice to the growing international chorus, urging both sides to come together. Some mediators would tell you they don't feel that the door has been completely shut on mediation, that both sides may have not yet crossed that point of no return, but that, of course, both sides need to bring down the rhetoric, because while these statements might not reflect a genuine negotiating stance, they could still be overall damaging to the process. And perhaps that's the most interesting or significant aspect of Ban Ki-moon's statement, in which he urges both sides not only to reconsider their actions, but also the language that's being used.
And Rawya, as the political deadlock continues, how tense is it there in Cairo? Are people waiting to see when the government is going to enforce this crackdown on pro-Morsi protests, or are people just focusing on celebrating Eid?
Well, if you take a look at the newspaper headlines today, there's certainly that psychological build-up where essentially the media, which has been backing the actions of the military, is once again sending that warning that time is running up, that the government's patience is about to run out. But on the other hand, in those protests, what you see are hallmarks of life going on as normal. At least that is the image that they want to send out to authorities. You see a playground area set out for children to play during the Eid holidays. You see celebrations of Eid going on as usual in those sit-ins, but also at the back of all of this, perhaps preparations and a security plan for those involved in the sit-ins in case security forces head in their directions. Up until now, Shakun, we're not seeing any security movement in the direction of these protests, but certainly the warning at the mind of everyone here.
Rawya, thank you once again. Rawya Rageh there, live for us from our Cairo bureau.